My name's Steve Trotter, Stephen Thorne Trotter, Trotter. I was born in Providence, Rhode Island, and then I moved to Fort Lauderdale for 21 years, and now I'm here in Sandestin. Well, you're looking at, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the youngest man to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. I did the stunt when I was 22 years old. August 18th, 1985, it was my grandmother's birthday. I gave her a real good birthday present, went over Niagara Falls in a barrel. It was two Greek pickle barrels put together with tongue and groove, schoolboard plank, ballistic Kevlar. I had that device there had a hat system which hatches on both ends. And I put it inside of a donut hole of earth mover inner tubes, which extended off the end to take your load at the bottom of the falls. Considering the falls is 178 feet, 176 feet, with 1,200,000 gallons of water going over a second. And then I went over the falls again. First man-woman duo, Lori Martin, myself, challenged the falls and did it up June 18th, Father's Day, 1995. My father got to watch his son go over the falls. Yeah, and then he passed away about half a year after that. But he got to watch his son go over the falls, and he's probably still, that was one of the happiest days of his life, knowing I'd lived and everything. When I was 7 years old, my parents took me on, my first vacation was Niagara Falls, and it was like, you know, honeymoon capital of the world, daredevil capital of the world. Not only that, it's a natural wonder of the world. And I just got there and I was like, whoa, this is the coolest place on earth. You know, I didn't know 15 years later I'd go over in a barrel, but about 10 years after the falls, it was always embedded in my head, Niagara Falls, Niagara Falls. I went back there and I'm going, I'm gonna go over the falls in a barrel. I'm like, this sounds so cool. Annie Taylor, 1901, I'm gonna be the youngest man to do it. So a couple of my buddies and I, an engineer from Barrington, Rhode Island, Kevin Bishop, we designed this, like I said, two Greek pickle barrels, fused them together with tongue and groove schoolboard pine that you see in the old schools. It comes up to about a little past your waist. Tongue and groove that, and then I used ballistic Kevlar for the wrap. Had the hat systems made by a man named Richard Peters, professional, perfect fiberglass guy. He's unbelievable. He makes hatches for boats, and he's just a glass master, fiberglass master, Richard Peters, yeah. He designed it with me, and then we got 1984. We got up to the falls on my birthday, November 13th. I got caught by the Canadians. They opened the truck. I'm on my regulator, breathing. They let me go. They let me go. They never knew who Steve Trotter was. They let me go. They escorted me with my barrel right to the Canadian border and let me go back in the U.S. with my barrel. Now it's a $30,000 fine, you know, because I abused, well, not really, I abused the Canadian law. I'm not trying to take their first child. I just want to go over their falls. All the stunters that I've talked to, like Dave Mundy, Peter DiBernardi, I haven't talked to, like I haven't hung out with other than those guys. Dave Mundy, I was in court in 1985 with Dave Mundy, and the crowns there, they're called crowns, not judges. They wear wigs. It's like 200 years ago. Hello, you hoser, and the Canadian guys. It's unbelievable. So my lawyer's sitting over there next to Dave Mundy, and my lawyer's going, yeah, just agree with everything the Crown says, agree with them and everything. And he goes, the Crown goes to me, he goes, yeah, you have total disrespect for the Canadian government and our laws. And I'm going, yes, sir. And my lawyer's over there going, no, don't agree with him on that. I go, you told me to agree with everything he said. $15,000 fine last time. Because it was $4,700 for Lori Martin to get out of jail, so, you know, do the right thing, get her out first. And then I had to raise up another $5,000. All my bartender friends in Fort Lauderdale had canisters on every bar and all over town. And they raised enough money so I could get out of jail and do interviews. I was the first person probably to go to jail. Yeah, it was August 18th, 1985. But I was only in there for half an hour in jail. It was a $500 fine, 1985. I'd gotten caught in 84. Went over, it was a $500 fine, 1985. And then when I took Lori Martin over June 18th, Father's Day, 1995, they hit me with $14,700 in fines. Because they just, you know, because I abused the Canadian law, and they don't like that. I'm just, you know, want to have a good time, you know. The rush is there. I was looking for that rush, and you get that rush going over the falls, folks. But, you know, it'll kill you just as fast as water. Niagara Falls, not only a natural wonder of the world, is 1,200,000 gallons a second going over. So when you go over, after you hit those rocks, you take your load, And then the water's hitting you again, so you in for the double whammy effect. You know, it's a rough ride. I'm in a 5-point harness, breathing off 2 pony tanks. You know, communication, your helicopter pilot, tell them which way you're floating downstream. I mean, that morning it's just action all over the place. You got a crew of 12. It's neat. 1985, after the construction was done, we finished it in Barrington, Rhode Island. I told you about the 2 Greek pickle barrels, tongue groove board. We used a fiberglass material called S-glass and then cloth. Back in the 80s, I don't even think there was carbon fiber back then, opposed to 1995. Let me get back to 1985. So after we got the barrel finished in Barrington, Rhode Island, we went up to Vermont and went across the border and told these Canadians this was a white water raft, because Vermont was like 10 hours away from the falls. So they let us into the country. God bless them. They didn't know what I was up to, but thank God we got it over there. And then we were in Canada for 2 days. Went over August 18th, 1985. The youngest man to attempt the falls. And that was a cool ride. I mean, it was rough and everything, but 1995, the barrel I took with Lori was rough, man. I got a compression fracture in my back. I mean, I'm sitting in Canadian jail, having to sign autographs for the guards' kids to get extra food. I mean, I was living large in there. You get cigarettes, you just write a little note to the kids. And after a week in jail, you have to write letters to get extra oranges or extra stuff. I was in jail for a week till I raised that $14,700. Yeah. I launched, it's called a spot called Terrapin Point on the U.S. side of Niagara Falls, U.S. side of the Horseshoe. We ripped the barrel in there. I was at my hotel the morning of August 18th, and I was already inside the barrel, and they brought the truck with the trailer on it, ripped it right through into the Goat Island Park, which is on the American side of the Horseshoe, and they put it about 1/8 of a mile upstream and let me go. Guy Akasiewicz and John Gustafson, they had harnesses with lines tied to the tree, so that as they pushed the barrel out to the rapids, one kid slipped, went right underwater. We thought we lost him. He came to his end of his line and popped up. I'm like, but I'm inside already. I saw this on film. I said, oh my God, we almost lost one guy there. I mean, the launch is really dangerous if you're not harnessed off to a tree or harnessed off to something, because the allergy on those rocks up there, you have to get the barrel out into at least 2-3 feet of water to let go, or you'll float back into to the shore side, and you'll go right onto these rocks right at the bottom, and it's just a dangerous spot to be in. Like 1995, I got stuck at the bottom for an hour and a half. We were running out of air, and Lori, I'm just like holding the cap shut because it was bang, it was so loud, you can hardly hear yourself think. It's like going over the falls, at the bottom of the falls, it's like being right in front of a freight train. Freight trains flying by, and you're just sitting there. It's nuts. All my communication went out. I couldn't talk to my crew chief, so I didn't know where I was. If you get stuck behind the falls, it's a bad spot to be in. But at the bottom of the falls where I got stuck in 1995 was bad enough. Your skin burns up because you have to release yourself from your harnesses, because you're all over the place. You have to release yourself from your harnesses and just stay on your oxygen. And I was telling Lori, it's so hot in here, I gotta she goes, don't you open that cap, Steve Trotter, don't you open that cap, we're gonna drown. I said, no, well, if we run out of oxygen, we're gonna have to open that cap, water come in or not. And when you open your cap at the bottom of the falls, the water rushes in so hard. I mean, it's cold water, it's scary. Well, immigration, I can't get in any more trouble. After I was leaving the Canadian jail, I had a compression fracture, and I'm walking out with my clothes like this, and an immigration lady comes out of some office and says, Steve Trotter, I'm so-and-so, marry somebody from the immigration to Canada. They go, come in my office. I'm like, oh, I paid my fine. She says, please, I have to have a minute with you, if you don't mind. I'm like, yes, ma'am. She went and she goes, I want to know how you got that barrel into our country in 1995. And I go, all I know, ma'am, is when I got over here to Canada, it was here. I don't know if it came over a truck, the river, but really I smuggled it in a thunder and lightning storm right in the middle of it and dragged it right across Niagara River. You have windows of opportunity, what you're going to do, because if you get caught smuggling into Canada, it's 10 years in jail and $100,000 fine. She goes, you could have had 1,000 pounds of, this corny Canadian lady said, you could have had 1,000 pounds of heroin in that barrel. I felt like saying, lady, if I had 1,000 pounds of heroin in that barrel, I'd be in Costa Rica getting my, getting fanned off and grapes dropped in my mouth. 1,000 pounds of heroin. I just want to go over your falls. I don't want your first child or anything. Just looking for that rush. Yeah, it's a rush, fellas. I mean, folks, going over the falls, it's just like, it's priceless. It's a stunt that's, you got to be, and most people, they're going to say, why, they always say, why would you do that? I'm like, why not? It's a natural one of the word. It's a cool rush. If you're looking, you know, you get antsy and you want to have an outlet to do something. Like every 10 years, I'd like to go over the falls. You know what they say, third time's a charm. Gone twice, and you never know. Now, ladies and gentlemen, your confidence level has got to be up to here. You don't climb into something that you think you might get killed in. You know, as you build this, and as your crew chief is working, this engineering goes into this stunt. You're building this every day. You're working on it. I've go in there at night, stop what I'm doing, just go in there at night and fall asleep inside my barrel. You know, you wake up, you're inside, you get used to it, you're always in it, you're working on it, you put the whole thing together with your crew. And yeah, I wouldn't climb into anything if I thought I was gonna die. You know, there's always that possibility. I mean, if I attempt the stunt again, and they say it's 60-40 that I'll live, 60 against me. But who makes up this, you know? I call it third time's a charm. Go for it. Mentor, Dar Robinson, died in 1986. 86 or 87. And he was my mentor, and I was going to go to Kim Kahana's stunt school in LA, in Chatsworth, I believe, Chatsworth. And I saw Dar Robinson in Miami at this club at about 3 in the morning. I'm like, hey, Dar Robinson, pleasure to meet you. I've watched your work for years. He's one of the best stuntmen, was one of the best stuntmen in the world. And I told him about Niagara Falls, and you know what he did to me? He came right to my face like this. Went like this. He goes, don't do the falls, you're gonna get killed. And that put me off for like a whole year, because that was kind of like, you know, it was heavy duty for him to say that. So I stopped construction on my barrel for about a year. And then he got killed. He was just doing a routine stunt and got impaled on a sagebrush. So when he died, I said, you know what? I'm gonna end up dying too, because I was a wild kid, you know. You'll go call my mom up, and she'll tell you stories. You'll be like, oh my God. But you know, you turn 40 years old, you get glasses, you know it's time to calm down. So I've calmed down a lot. I mean, I was off the chain in my 20s. You know, jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, Tampa Skyway 3 times, George Washington Bridge in Manhattan, to Teaneck, New Jersey. Did that bridge with my brother. That sound's getting you in it. So I'm in Niagara Hospital. I'm lying there, my back's hurting me, and I'm like, I know I'm gonna have to go to jail for this one, because the Canadians are pretty pissed off with me, you know, because the second attempt at the falls, and they just don't like this long-haired boy up there. You know, they'd rather just see me stay in Florida. So I'm in the hospital, and I get up off my table, and I see doctor's exit. Okay, so I'm sitting in my hospital on the bed like this. My back was hurting because like I said, I had a little compression fracture, so I saw doctor's exit. So I get up and I have my hospital gown on. I walk over there, I open the door, and it led out to outside. I went outside, I took off, I went to the fence. My friend drove by the limo that we were using that weekend, and I waved him down, naked. I'm like, I didn't have any clothes on except for that little hospital gown. My back ass was hanging out, my back end was hanging out, excuse me. And I climbed over the fence, got on the other side, and got away. Escaped Niagara Hospital, and went to a hotel, and I had ice on my knee, and my girlfriend Gina, I said, go get me some sushi. I want a little sushi. I was starving. Because, you know, after your adrenaline rush like that, you get real hungry. You know, you get tired and hungry. After you get such an adrenaline rush, you get tired, then you get really hungry. I escaped from the hospital. I mean, the cops were looking for me everywhere. They couldn't find me. I went to the Super 8 motel, and I checked in under a different name. I had my friend check me in, different name, but when they got a hold of one of my crew members, one of my crew members thought he was going to jail. 300-pound Jimmy Torture thought he was going to go to jail, so he ratted me out, told the cops who I were. So I'm laying in my bed with ice on my knee, lying there like this, and Officer Clark comes in there, who arrested me back in 1985. He's like, Steve, don't try to escape from here. I'm like looking at him going, I'm not going anywhere. I got ice on my leg. You know, you got me, guys, okay? It's not like you're a criminal up there, but there's so many suicides and so many deaths a year up there. They have to put a big fine up there now, because, you know, even if they had a barrel day, I mean, unless your stuff is designed right, I mean, most people are going to die going over those falls. I mean, it's unforgiving at the bottom of the falls.